Welcome back to the Church of Obelisk and to a video on Lycan, who is actually one of the stronger offlaners in the current patch. Lycan suffered a bit from patch 731, but in 731C he got some nice buffs, and then there were some further buffs in 731D, so he's currently quite strong. And here we're going to take a look at a 10k MMR game, roughly speaking, where we have Tobi on the Lycan and lots of other pro players also in the game. So the starting items are a bit unusual here. Usually you see Lycans just start with a Tango and a Quelling Blade, and then they're saving up for the Helm of Iron Will to rush Dominator. But in this game, Tobi is going to instead be rushing the Vladimir's Offering, which of course is also a component in Helm of the Overlord, which is still the standard item to go for as Lycan. It is also possible to use that early Vlads to go for a Wraith Pact, also an excellent item on Lycan, but because Helm of Overlord is so strong, you almost always see that instead of the Wraith Pact, especially now in the D patch. But if it's a game where you really need this Wraith Pact because there's a lot of burst on the enemy team, and maybe because your creep is not going to be as good in that game, then it's an option to go for the Wraith Pact instead. But 90% of the time it's still going to be just the standard Overlord. And of course Helm of Dominator gives you a stronger early timing, so once it's actually complete, even if you have a fairly weak creep, you're still going to be doing quite a bit more damage during your ultimate. You have much higher kill potential with Helm of Dominator. However, the big advantage of going for the Vlads first is that it offers you much better laning stage. So you have these very efficient items that you can start with: Ring of Protection, Sage's Mask, that help you a lot in lane. Because Lycan is a very mana-hungry hero at the start, and his int is really not that great. It's not that bad for a strength hero, especially the starting int, but still you're going to run out of mana fairly quickly if you have no mana regen items, which is why starting with the Sage's Mask and then making a Ring of Basilius is very powerful. Another problem with rushing Dominator is also that Lycan is already a pretty passive hero that doesn't really do very much in lane, so you put a lot of pressure onto your support to do stuff, to protect you. And you pretty much offer no help to your support if you just rush this Helm of Iron Will, because you're not even going to have full starting items. But with this build up, you're actually a bit stronger in lane. You have some auras that are going to help your support. Like the Skirmishes mage is really going to appreciate getting some extra mana regen. Laning wise, not much has changed for Lycan. You're still just going to be summoning your wolves whenever they die, and just try to get as much last hitting as possible. You can try harassing, like for example this Zeus. I should have just gone with the wolves of the Zeus, I think. But yeah, generally just supposed to just get as much farm as possible. Try not to lose your wolves, but don't feel too much about losing them. They offer a decent amount of golden experience, but it's not that crippling to lose them, right? It's like they offer about half as much as a melee creep does. So be careful with them, but it's not as bad as losing, for example, the Quill Beast for a Beastmaster. Here he's up against Gunnarsson and Zeus, which is not that strong of a lane, so you can just lane regularly. But if you do face a lane that's very powerful, what you want to do is you want to pull the lane, you send your two wolves down here, catch the wave here, and then draw the wave back here behind your tower. And this way you can disrupt the laning equilibrium and get some safe farm. And this is a great way of dodging difficult lanes. Lycan already has fairly high base damage, and you have the wolves to help you last hit as well. So you don't really worry too much about the blades of attack. You want to get the Basilius and Buckler first, and then if you can afford to just get the Mobile Mask next. Team is also getting extra tangos. Ideally, as Lycan, you just make do with a single set of tangos. Of course, you also have bonus regen from Feral Impulse, but if that's not enough, don't be afraid of shipping an extra regen. Skyreth has left the lane now, so there's not much Lycan can do here. He's just gonna try to block camps, disrupt these poles. Camp is blocked by wolves here, and just try to not die while getting experience as well, and if possible some last hits. But it's a bit dangerous if there's an ensnare here, which there is, so he has to be careful. And indeed just gets caught here. And that is going to be a kill. That of course is something you want to avoid, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, so now we have our Vlads, we're level 6, and if you went for the normal Dominator first build, you would now have a major power spike. By the way, Dominator and Vlads cost almost exactly the same. So it would be the same timing here, and we would have now a good creep, hopefully. And then we would be much stronger, we have some kill potential. But with just the Vlads, we're not going to have nearly as much kill threat here. So we're not really looking for kills too much here. We're just looking to continue fighting, or continue farming rather. And he gets surrounded here again, and is forced to ultimate here just to escape, and he does escape barely, but not gonna get any kills here. And this is a well-spent ultimate. You're not really looking too much for kills with ultimate, so it's fine to use it just to escape here. And yeah, thanks to his Vlads, he can just stay in lane here and doesn't have to return to the fountain. Now, they're pushing out the wave here. He's just gonna do some jungle, which is fine. He doesn't want to be in here in lane where he's far away from his tower. So he's gonna take this a bit safer farm and just try to hit his next item timing. That's what he's gonna be doing mostly. Especially if you go for the Vlads first, you're not that good at killing people, especially not with your shapeshift on cooldown. So he's just going to be farming, and then once he's got the Dominator as well, he's going to be fighting more actively. Although, of course, if you have shapeshift up and there's like a fight breaking out at top or something, you can definitely TP there. And that's one of the advantages of Vlads, that you can take it with you. Whereas your Dominator creeps kind of stay behind when you teleport. He's just going to be protecting his tower here, farming when it's safe, and another safe wave here. And after that, he's going to go back to the triangle, take some of the safe farm there. Lycan is a hero that doesn't come online super fast, so it's okay to take a little bit of time here. And what's really most important is this Helm of the Overlord timing. This is your most important job in this stage of the game. Hit an early Helm of the Overlord timing, and if possible, defend your offlane tower. Now that his shapeshift is available again, he's going to be playing a bit more aggressively here. And also, some of his teammates are going to be joining in here. And they want to take this tower, of course. This is the easiest tower to take if you're on the DotA. So that is the plan here. Enemy carry, TP's away, and so this is going to be a free tower. Haven't really talked about the lineups yet, so this is actually a pretty good Lycan game. So what makes a good Lycan game is that you have squishy range heroes that you can go after. You have this Leshrac is the mid hero, and the offlane hero is Visage. Both of these heroes are very vulnerable to Lycan. Leshrac does a good bit of magic damage, but your wolves have a lot of magic resistance. They have 70% magic resist. They don't die very fast to Leshrac. And then once you get some ancient creeps, they are also quite resistant to Leshrac's stuff. So you can actually take out Leshrac quite well. Visage, because you have many damage instances, you can go through this Gravekeeper's Cloak fairly effectively and kill him. And also, of course, the support Zeus is very vulnerable. So you have 3 easy targets to go on. And then the Naga is a bit more of a problem because she does a good amount of AoE damage with her Riptide. And this is of course reduced a lot, but still it's so much AoE damage that your summoned units can't really stand up to it. You have this tiny, but it's only support tiny, so you're not worried too much about that. Big fight breaking out here, and so you see him TPing in. He does have ultimate up, so otherwise he would not TP in here most likely. Gonna see if he can do anything here, but enemy team is already retreating. He does not use shapeshift. This is one of the harder parts of playing Lycan, is recognizing when you shapeshift and not. That's just a thing that requires a bit of experience. And my advice generally would be to err on the side of shapeshifting, and then you see in which fights you didn't need to shapeshift, so that way you can adjust. And he's just about to finish up his Helm of the Overlord, so there's no point to taking a new creep on, because once you get the Overlord, your old creep dies, and then you have to take a new one. And so of course immediately he's going to make his way towards the ancient camp, and because of the stack that was there earlier, he actually has some choice here. And of course you take the ancient black dragon. This is the one you want. This is the one that allows you to farm the most. It also has just a huge amount of right click damage. Like, look at this. This guy does like 235 damage. It's fairly slow attack speed, but still, this is pretty massive damage. And it is 100% splash damage in a 250 radius, which is not that bad, right? So this is actually a super strong farming creep. And it also does a good amount of damage in team fights with this fireball plus its right click. So this is a great choice. And the other one is the big Gunnarsson, so that's also great. The other ancients are not that great, but can be possessed of some value and are generally better than the regular neutral creeps. So now, like in the city's biggest timing, now you want to look for some fights. Because Helm of the Overlord, this is the item you're looking for, and whenever you hit this sort of big item timing, it's oftentimes a good idea then to go for a smaller follow-up item instead of going straight for the AC. He's going for a drum, which is a great teamfight item, and which will allow the DotA team to take some control of this game, which is desperately needed because they do need to stop this Naga from farming too much and getting too big. Now that they've hit this important timing, they want to try to take out all the other towers and take Roshan. That's the game plan. But enemy team is also taking out other towers quite well, so so far this is a fairly even game. And as you can see, this ancient black dragon is actually quite good at taking out these illusions. He didn't even use fireball here, just his right clicks take out the illusions quite quickly. So after this optional drum, the next item is usually going to be an AC. You can also go for BKB before AC if you really need that. And this is a pretty good BKB game as well. But instead it's going to go for this slightly greedier version of going for the AC first, which is fine. With this dragon, you can also use it to split push some side lanes apart from you. But if you keep it near you, of course, it's going to have more damage because it gets this 40% bonus damage from Feral Impulse, as well as the aura from Helm of the Overlord. But especially in games where you're struggling a bit and you want to be farming more safely, you can just use your hero and farm some safe jungle camps or some waves that are further back, and then use your dragon plus maybe your wolves to push out some side lanes. As you can see, he's pushing out his mid lane in a very dangerous position. He's just going to have his black dragon here nearby, so you can barely get the aura range, but not commit his hero past the river. Whenever your ultimate is available, you do want to look for a fight if possible. You don't want to force things too much, but right now they have this in with Bat Rider and he finds Visage, and that should be an easy kill. Visage just managed to get off his Wraith Pact totem, but that's not a problem. And now they're trying to hunt for more. And you do want to hunt for more if possible, but you don't want to go overboard. So it would be a bad idea to chase behind this tower here. Instead, just going to be happy with this one kill. And it is an offlane kill, so it's perfectly fine to use your ultimate for that. And now they just go back to farming. Because you're a Lycan, you're not going to do much fighting when your ultimate is not available. But the enemy knows that too, so they're gonna go for a bit of aggression here, and they managed to catch this poor ogre here with a Naga, and this means that Tobi now has to come in here, even though he has no ultimate. It's not ideal, but sometimes you have to work without the ultimate, and this is especially where the drum comes in. It gives you a lot of extra movement speed when that ultimate is not available. Because during the ultimate, of course, it's really just extra movement speed for your allies and extra attack speed for you and your creeps. But yeah, this fight is not ideal. And of course, a big part of the reason is that they don't have the ultimate. So they have to just retreat, and they do indeed at least get out the Bat Rider. They see the enemy team going to Roshan, so they want to contest this. And for that Rosh fight, Shapeshifter should be available here. And this is why it's going to be shapeshifting here in advance. They use the smoke, confirm that they're roshing indeed, and then it's into the ultimate form and trying to catch as much as possible. But with this Naga-san ultimate, they're not going to get too much. They get a kill here. Windwrench is trying to engage here onto Visage, trying to find an easy kill. But it's a trap. Forced to use BKB. She wants to get the kill anyway. And she does. Meanwhile, Tobi is coming in here wants to join the fight. And ultimate is almost available. Now it's available. But it seems the judges that at this point it's not worth ulting. I'm not sure exactly I agree with that. But maybe they don't want to fight into the Aegis. So they decide to just disengage here and call it even with a 1-for-1 trade. So they go for a bit of a smoke here, trying to find something. We do have a shapeshift available, and you even see him queuing up a nullifier, but his drum charges are running low, so he's probably going to want to buy those bongo boots first. And there's a good amount of vision here, which is what makes the smoke so strong. Is engaged on here, uses ultimate and focuses Leshrac. Which decent choice. He's out of position there. He does have the Aegis, so now it's a choice of focusing either the Leshrac again or the Visage. Both would be decent choices, but they go for the Leshrac here first, and now you want to try to chase after this and try to get either the Zeus or the Visage if at all possible. And indeed Ogre Magi jumps forward here, and Visage gets tossed back far back and decides not to chase it because ultimate is running out, so they only really get the Leshrac plus the Aegis, but there's an access bonus Zeus here on top, so that's nice. They got a kill on Zeus earlier, and ultimate is available. They've got everything up, so now would be a great time to fight for them. So they're sort of posturing in the middle, they're unafraid, and Naga foolishly steps in there. As does this Leshrac. He did get a kill here, but gonna pay. Yeah, that should be a kill. I think Tobi is being a bit too hesitant here. He definitely kill this guy. There we go. And that is a support for a mid. Pretty good, and they might even get even more. Naga Siren is in trouble here, but gets scaled up by the Visage. And Visage also, as you talked about, very juicy target, but he does have this shard, so you have to wait it out a bit for 4 seconds, and then you can go on him again. And down he goes. If ever you can control the enemy triangle, that is very valuable. However, there's also, you have all the split push going on in the top lane, but that's just part of playing against Naga. And find another Zeus kill here, and now it's time to take some towers. With 3 people down, this should be a fairly easy tower to take. Oh, Windmills are making the plays here. Catches Naga, and she's almost dead from the shackle. And down she goes. So, a very nice kill there. And now it's time to go in here, get something more. Another kill, and this is the right call here. Go for the high ground, force some buybacks. And ultimate is still available for a little bit. So he goes here in the after the Zeus. Another kill, and they can do this because they have their numbers advantage here, and because ultimate is still available. And now still 3 people down, so you just keep going here until you see some sort of buybacks coming out. It should be easy racks, and because BKB is available as well, there's not too much risk here. They don't have anything that pierces BKB, so we just take more. And this is sort of the power of Lycan, is that once you win a team fight, you can take objectives so quickly. And notice he's also just using these boots of bearing charges just for some extra tower damage. Wind Ninja is doing some dangerous farming, and she gets caught and killed. So what do you do as Lycan in this situation now? He has ultimate available in a sec, but there's no real fighting without Wind Ranger. So what you want to do in this position is try to push out some lanes. So we're just going to do these camps on the way, and then he's going to move down the bottom lane and take some camps there. And this is fairly safe here because he does have BKB available, he does have Shapeshift available, so you can get away from almost anything. They have no BKB piercing disables here on the enemy team. So you can just do this and use his dragon to push in the wave. He doesn't push it any further than this because if you push the dragon up here, it gets killed. So he's just gonna push maybe like up to here or something and then pull it back. But now a fight is joined here, and he has to come in, use his ultimate, and again you're gonna try to go for these ranged heroes if at all possible. You can see him going on the Visage here, but he gets away too fast. But now the Leshrac gets into a terrible position here, overextending. He does have the Aegis, uses it right away though. And now the ultimate gone, you have to pull back here. You're up 10k, but you're down a man and no ultimate here on Lycan, so you have to retreat. That's so important to know on Lycan when you can and cannot fight. As we talked about earlier, this BKB makes it very safe against this lineup, so even though it gets engaged here by the entire enemy team, it's fine. Just pop BKB and just gently walk away, and in fact even force out a Naga ultimate so they can disengage. So this is the power of BKB in this game. But Naga continues to be annoying, so it's very hard to actually push in this game, despite being up 2 lanes. Enemy team is smoking and they catch an Ogre, as well as the Bat Rider. So of course we see him charging in here, and he's buying him a little bit. You don't want to go too deep, but Leshrac is kind of an awkward spot, so he goes after this. Kills Leshrac, and now we're going to go on to the Visage, ideally. Or Zeus if you can catch him. But with Volts being kind of down, it's hard to do stuff, and Ultimates also run out, so has to disengage here for now and try to get a new creep. Very important to get a new creep. This is a 6k item. You need that creep for that item to pay off. He finds the Ancient Thunderhide, which is quite powerful. Not as strong in this game because there's no one who benefits that much from Frenzy. Like a Wind Ranger doesn't care too much about it. Neither does Bat Rider, so... And Lycan you can of course cast on yourself, but you don't do that much damage. Although with the items he has, it's not that bad, right? He's got like 350 damage. Thanks to this Nullifier and of course the auras and such. And now with this advantage here from winning the team fight earlier, they go here pushing these towers because they cannot push this one. It would take way too long to push out all this. They would maybe get a tier 1 tower, so they have to go for these objectives here, and they do indeed force out a buyback, which is enough for them, and now they're going to retreat. This is a very smart move to get out this buyback. I think most lower level teams would have just said, okay, we just have to take this, we're just going to push like this, and they wouldn't have gotten anything except maybe tier 1 tower. Now we can see even queuing up a Mjolnir, which is of course not a typical Lycan item, but the thing is they are really struggling with these Naga illusions, and so we just said, okay, I'm also going to build right click, which is perfectly fine to go for in late game Lycan, because you already do like a decent amount of right click damage, and adding Mjolnir in there is actually kind of nice because it gives you extra attacks, which is what you're lacking right now, and rounds up your item builds reasonably well, helps you with the active as well against the illusions. So in this specific situation, that's a decent item, but usually you would get something else. You would maybe get an Aghanims, would be like a good choice right now, if you're more a real position 3 here, but right now he's actually like the main carry. Just look at the net worth here, he's like by far the highest in this team. Who has to go for something more carry-ish, and Mjolnir is good here for that reason. So they go in here. There's still a Zeus dead for a couple of seconds, so maybe you can find an opening here. And yeah, they go for the towers first, but they actually find Naga now, and that's a nice kill. And yeah, so while your ultimate is still alive, you're very good at hunting down people. When your ultimate is down, it's really just about focusing the buildings. And yeah, with the BKB here, he can just stay in this fight, and thanks to Boots of Bearing, he's not totally useless outside of his ultimate. But he managed to disengage here a bit. And at this point, with no wolves, no creep available, you don't do very much as Lycan, especially with no ultimate as well. So he's just going to try to stick around here, see if he can maybe finish this game. He even took a melee creep here, and he's going for the dramatic finish here. Can he do it? And another hit here, or two. but not quite. So Ancient stays here on 100 HP. Very close. But for now, they're gonna hold. Viper is available here as the enemy team pushes high ground and is indeed expended here. He does have the ultimate, and he's even buying Tome of Knowledge here. Maybe he wants level 25 talent. And going in here after the vulnerable targets again. Nagasan is not that vulnerable. She's very high HP. So you don't really want to mess with her too much. Much better to catch these squishy targets. And Tiny is got 2.6k HP, but he is a support Tiny, so gonna die fairly easily. And chases on. This Naga Siren has a lot of illusions though, and an ultimate, so she will escape for now. And the Tobi's actually switched his item priority here to Lotus Orb. That's also, of course, a reasonable choice. But to be honest, I actually like the Mjolnir here better in the specific game. And also important to note, you can't always choose what creeps you get. If you don't get a good ancient creep, you can just take a good regular creep like the Centaur Conqueror. Or also something like the Alpha Wolf is a great choice. But yeah, now there's 4 people down, and so they can just go straight for the ancient. And there's no ultimate available anyway, so you might just hit buildings, and there we go. That is a win. So Lycan, a very strong offlaner, is still in this patch. So if you wanna learn a new offlaner, Lycan is a great choice for now, and I think also for the foreseeable future.